We all just hear a really loud reaction from the audience.
Matty's never reacted like that, ever. I kind of got the feeling that it was North American record, and it was 472, and I was like, that is crazy.
For now.
6.11 average.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Millisecond podcast. I am one of your traditional co-hosts, Dylan Miller, and we have a special guest for this episode with me here. We've got Luke Greiser. How's it going, Luke?
What's up? It's going good. I'm still tired from All Stars, but I'm hanging in there. Excited to be here, even though I'm not Chris Mills. I'm hoping to, provide some sort of entertainment for all the loyal viewers out there.
You got big shoes to fill over here. Mills is normally the one running everything, so I'm a little out of my element today, but we're just going to get it started. I mean, I think the most interesting thing about All-Stars that we haven't really touched on too much is the format of everything as a whole. What have you thought about the format specifically in terms of, like, as a top 3x3 solver, how have you enjoyed it, and, like, how does it compare to kind of All-Stars 2024?
Yeah, so I really, really liked it. All-Stars 2024 was a little bit different. That was a very Michael Chai, like, this is what PSL is going to look like based event. Only 3x3, that type of thing. Whereas North American All-Stars was like a 2-day event where it was all of the top players competing in their respective events. I thought it was really interesting, and I think this year was a really good one to do it, because you have the absolute chaos of worlds on the West Coast in the United States.
Yeah.
And then you have like a small, almost sort of an invitational event for U.S. nationals on the East Coast. So I think they did a pretty good job with it. There were no controversies, which is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think they did a good job with it. They did a good job picking the year to do it. And I honestly do want to see more events like this in the future with invitational spectator events type things, but I don't want them to fully replace Worlds and Nationals and everything. I think that there should be a healthy balance between the two.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, like, this idea has been brought up, and I've talked about it a bit, and, Manu and I have talked about it, but I think the best way to run it is you have, like, your convention style major, and then you have, like, your invitational for, like, top level competitors, and these can even run, like, simultaneous at the same time, where it's like, you have the invitational that's going to crown the champion for each event or whatever, and then, like, in the back room you have the large convention style thing where there's booths and fun stuff to do outside of that. And then your time is split across, like, you competing, you watching top level people competing, you hanging out with people, you doing the booths and everything else, like the WCA booth, Beekeeping TV booth, whatever you have. I think that's kind of the best avenue forward to still try to make sure both groups are happy. The coolest thing about All-Stars for me, I think, was, like, am one who has been very pro 3x3 only. 3x3 is kind of the thing that matters. But honestly, I found myself really enjoying watching the other events as I was, just like hanging out in the venue and everything. I was watching the stream, and we'll talk about it later. But Skewb was really interesting to watch as well. And I don't remember too many of the other ones, honestly. I think 4 and 5 were cool. But I found myself actually being engaged more so than I would be at, like, obviously Worlds is engaging, but any other, like, local streamed comp, because I think the way it was set up stream-wise with, like, the multi-box and everything, it was really solid. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think there is viability to other events. I still do think 3x3 is the one that we should push first, because I think if anything's going to break into the mainstream, it would be 3x3. But I'm totally open to seeing other stuff kind of make it into, especially this type of format. I'm excited to see how those other events kind of shape up in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Watching everything was a lot of fun. I actually always really enjoy watching, especially sprint events. I found myself being really invested in, like, especially this year's Skewb finals, and in the past years watching Michael Nielsen clutch up Pira finals or 2x2 finals somehow always seems to hit the spot for me when I'm watching something that's watching a major final. Those kinds of moments like really really get to me, especially in like sprint events, because they demand perfection almost. So if you make one mistake, you're basically like out of the running, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of what makes it so exciting for me. I also do agree that like 3x3 is the one that we need to push further first, and then maybe if like 3x3 gets more mainstream, then we can expand into 2 through 7, and then pull out a Megaminx or something and say this is another thing that people do, and then that
Let's
can lead
go.
to, that can lead to the all of the events eventually being spectator friendly.
Yeah, so we're talking about pushing 3x3 more into the mainstream, and we just had the announcement from the WCA that they're open to having head-to-head format going forward at potentially like continental championships. They're going to start off by just doing like maybe locals that have pretty competitive entrants. But what are your thoughts on how the current All Stars format for 3x3 specifically compares to what you imagine a head-to-head format WCA comp would look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the head-to-head aspect, like we were talking about the difference between the huge Worlds event and the smaller invitational All-Stars event. I think what would be interesting is if All-Stars was the one to really hone in that head-to-head aspect. And then Worlds would be a traditional competition, the way that we're used to it. 5 solves for everybody. I think if we implement head to head into All Stars and make that its own separate thing, like we could have the All Star champion and then like the national champion, or those could be the same thing, or the world champion. Something that has to do with head to head, because I do think that's a really interesting format. Um, and there's not necessarily any beating people in cubing. You kind of just do better than them in the
Yeah.
same round. Like that might have been a Russell Westbrook "what are you talking about" question. Um, but I think there's some people out there who are gonna get what I just said.
No,
um,
I get what you mean.
yeah, basically, like in a head-to-head format, you have to beat the other person. You can't like just rely on yourself and be like, okay, I need to just do the best that I can, which is good. But I think it's even more interesting to take these two cubers who are at the top of their game and put them head to head against each other and say, may the best solver come out of this on top.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen PSL. It makes things really interesting when two people are kind of going against each other. I've heard Timon say that he thinks the head-to-head format is cool, but he doesn't really view it in the same way that I think maybe you and me do, where he says that you know whatever one person does has no direct impact on the other person. Like in tennis, right? Like my shot directly impacts the shot that you take next. And Timon would say like in cubing, it's like you just do a solve, and then that actually has no real bearing on what the other person does. I think there's situations where it definitely does, but I kind of see where he's coming from as well. I do think it's interesting you say like splitting it up where All Stars becomes kind of its own title. I think I really like that idea because one thing that's I think really tricky is changing the value system we have in the WCA, right? If we start making worlds a head to head style format, I think it makes it where we very much have a division of like the average of format era and then the current like head to head format era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having a title for both is probably the way to go. Where you have like your head to head champion and then you have like your average of champion. I don't think the average of format needs to go away entirely, but I do think, pushing kind of like the head to head thing forward a little bit more um, is another good avenue to kind of make cubing a bit more spectator friendly. And I think the All Stars format lends itself perfectly to that. So yeah, for me, it's tricky to like just completely uproot the entire value system of the WCA and like the community we've built for years and change it to the head-to-head format. So yeah, I think splitting it up is a much better way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, yeah, on All Stars, I mean, we had some pretty big storylines. What was like your favorite moment from All Stars? What were some of the storylines that stick out to you?
Mm-hmm. So by far, Quinn Maloney Skewb, not world champion, Quinn Maloney Skewb national champion. Um,
Yeah.
he came to me a couple weeks ago and wanted me to one of those lessons one of the offerings that I do for through Cubing GG is a limited event daily routine, and that's catered more towards people who want to be all rounders as opposed to people who just want to get good at 3x3. So he came to me and he asked me, "Can you make me a daily routine for everything that I want to work on?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And part of that ended up being coaching him on mentality, because when it comes to events that aren't 3x3, I know the basics of each method and what you need to do to solve it. But when it comes to actual substance, I am of basically no help. So he knew the substance that he needed to actually put into motion. Thanks to Jacob Levi, who was his Skewb coach. He kind of deemed me his coach, and being able to coach him in that sort of way, and see him pull off double PR to beat Carter Kukala Skewb finals, that was an absolutely incredible feeling. Like, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Austin was right next to me telling me to chill out. She can vouch for it. Um, it was an awesome feeling being able to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that it's kind of the first national champion we've had who's come from like a coached background to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
You being the mentality coach and then Jacob Levy being the Skewb coach. I mean, that's super sick. I mean, I think that kind of tells us the era we're headed to in cubing, and yeah, that's super sick. I mean, I've had some moments where like I've had a client do really well, and like that's always like the best feeling in the world, dude. Like it really just it feels great. So um, on top of that, I mean, I my favorite moment was probably watching Chris Sun just like absolutely cook in 3 finals, dude. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about predictions, me and Mills on the last episode, and we were saying, who are some dark horses? Mills said Brian Johnson. I said, I think like Ryan and Chris, but I remember seeing Zeke post like Chris Sun dark horse, like best dark horse by far, and I was like,
Yeah.
I know Chris Sun's pretty good, but like I didn't really think about it, and then I watch him just like be so solid and composed the entire final. Like he's in the first group, and you were going against him actually.
I was.
And man, okay, well, yeah. Did you know what he was getting or anything like that, or like,
I
what was
had
going on?
zero idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of had a feeling that he was doing pretty well, just because I could like hear when he started and stopped. Yep, there I am, about to fail my average, but it's okay. So me and Chris actually go back quite a bit. If you go back to North American Champs 2024, I was in kind of my zone where I was not warming up nearly as much when it came to, time to compete. Because I only need like 5 minutes of warm up. And seeing as I was the 4th seed going into that final, I had plenty of time to, not cube. And I spent that time talking to Chris Sun. He kind of asked me for advice on how to perform in competition, what I've been doing for the past year to kind of bounce back from the I Know It incident, and just being able to talk to him and like how humble of a person he was, how willing he was to learn. It was awesome. And I kind of said to myself, like, he's going to be really, really good. Because even before that, I went to a couple slow and steady competitions in Maryland, which is not too far away from Pennsylvania where he's from. And he was my competition at all of those. And this was the first time I think that he had ever actually beaten me in a finals. And it's absolutely amazing to see him be able to persevere like that in a nationals environment. So yeah, super happy for Chris as well. His story is kind of a close second to Quinn's for me, but yeah, he did awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even just like in his post game interview, he's like, "I'm super blessed. Thanks to all the organizers for hosting this. Like, shout out my parents for getting me here." It was like, yeah, just really humble, chill dude, and like, yeah, he seemed like he just it seemed like he was just like, oh, I just do this. He's like, I just kind of got 5-6 PR in Nats final, and like, is what it is. If I was up there, dude, I would be like actually sobbing. Like, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, I don't know. Yeah, he was very composed. That was awesome. And then the last one was Luke Garrett, first
Hmm.
ever national title, beat Max Park in OH to finally get one. I mean, what do you have any thoughts on that? I know you and Luke are buds.
Yeah, long time coming for sure. He's deserved a national title since probably about 2022, maybe even 2023, one of those 2 years. But he got, I believe, third in 2023 for both 3x3 and OH. And then this year he got third in 6x6, I believe,
Yeah.
which was that. I don't think that was on anyone's bingo card, but I
No.
mean, he's the all rounder. So, like, it was bound to happen at some point. And then OH happens and he wins with what he calls a bad average in his post game interview. So I think if he was going to win any national title, OH is definitely the one. Obviously, because he's world record holder.
Yeah.
But the way that the way he solves the cube really is good for one handed. So it makes sense that he was struggling a little bit and was still able to take down the monster that is Max Park.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of the other storylines we had here. Is like, dude, Max still got it. Like I think people. Okay, maybe I think I'm people, but I'm kind of ready for the Max era to like. When's it gonna end, dude? When's it gonna? I feel like at this point, we finally got Matty Nar, which like we'll touch on that later as well, but
Hmm.
um, we finally got the Matty beat Max 486. It's been going for years, but Max is now 5-time national champion, 3 times back to back. And we were talking about it before we started recording. The last person to have North American record before Max Park was Lucas Etter, dude. Like that is so there's kids nowadays that don't even know who Lucas Etter is. They're like straight up. And so that's
Hmm.
just I don't know. I feel like in my head it's 2025. There's no way Max's style is still the best. Like I feel like it just can't be. Like objectively, there's a lot of things that he could improve on. Specifically some of his turning and stuff. But like he's just so solid, and he just manages to get it done every single time. I don't know how it's still happening.
Yeah. Um, you said everything pretty much perfectly. So Max has been North American, like prominent in North America for 3x3 since 2017. He got a 692 North American record average in uh, beginning of 2017. Lucas got it back once, and Max took it again and has not looked back since. And I think it's interesting how we're always like, Max is a Plants vs Zombies player now. Max
Yeah.
he doesn't have it in him anymore. And the only round that he lost in 3x3 this weekend was when Matty took his NAR,
Yeah.
and Max was right there in second place. Yeah, starting out with a banger 497. I think it was at this moment that everyone kind of knew that Max was going to be national champion. Because even before Matty even started, Max just came straight out with a 4.9. Only sub 5 of finals, by the way, which was kind of surprising. But Max just being this solid with his simple CFOP solutions and, best look ahead in the world, arguably. It's very impressive to see just how solid he really still is. And yeah, the reign of Max Park is not going anywhere anytime soon. I think we still have 1 or 2 more years of him before Matty or Luke or Dylan or other Luke finally dethrones him, or Caleb Chen or Chris Sun. What am I talking? There's so many other contenders, and yet Max has reigned at the top of them for the past 8 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, at this point, look, you love to see someone succeed, but when it's like the Warriors, right? Like the Warriors dynasty, they're so good that you kind of want someone else to get one for one time. Like it's been so long. Finally, Maddie's gotten R, but I think you're right. I do think Max is still the favorite for 26, and like in a way, probably 27, assuming like no one comes out the woodwork and like massively improves, or Max doesn't like regress at all and like actually commits to being like a pro cookie clicker player. So yeah, it's still insane to me. We knew the projection said he was gonna win, but then he just like does it, and you're hoping that like Matty can get the full story, NAR plus national champion, because Matty got third, but I mean, I'm sure he's not the most satisfied with that placement, all things considered. But it's also wild, like Max always manages to like eke it out, right? Worlds 23 wins by like 0.01. He goes against Caleb at Westerns. I think he wins by like 0.1. Here he beats Chris Sun by 0.04. Like,
Yeah.
barely gets there, dude. It's just always he manages to get there, and I don't see why we wouldn't like bet on him doing it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been cubing. No, he's been prominent in North America for longer than our world record single holder has been alive.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Zhuan Yigang does not know a cubing world without Max Park. He's truly like the LeBron, like with his longevity. Yeah. Like there's a couple basketball references in here. I don't know how many viewers we have that are basketball fans, but
we get it.
He's like LeBron and the Warriors all in once. And I think this was a 2022 Stephen Curry Finals MVP type performance. Like I've still got it.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
Accurate. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of LeBron, I guess we kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel like All-Stars impacts kind of cubing's legacy? How does it affect LeBron's parentheses cubing's legacy? I mean, do you view this as kind of a turning point in how we're going to approach majors or the different formats that we're going to try? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I think this is going to be a humongous step in the right direction. And honestly, Matty getting NAR in round 2 was very, very helpful when it comes to like trying to promote this sort of event. There he is. There's the NAR and everything in all its glory. But him getting that result really puts it into perspective that these people are professionals. They can shine under the brightest lights. They can put on a show whenever it's necessary. They can prove that they're still him after 8 years of being in the spotlight. And especially with this being a spectator-friendly event or geared towards spectators, I think that we are only going to see more events like this, and that events like this are eventually going to end up in the public eye. Just because there were several times that I was working at the cubicle booth and there were people walking down the street looking for something to do who came in and bought tickets just to watch. And then there was one particular customer who walked in, watched for about 20 minutes, and came out to the cubicle booth and wanted to buy a Chi Warrior because it was the cheapest cube that we sold. So that people are interested in speed cubing if they know that it's a thing that people do. And I think this is a humongous step in the right direction for being able to promote our sport to the general public.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think Matty getting NAR here is also just like a great story. Getting cubing just like in the public eye, like you said, with someone coming up and like actually wanting to buy a cube, that is like the whole reason we are doing this. I mean, obviously, like, the top level competitors care about, getting their results and like just, having this competition is important. But the fact that someone can see this, see how much people care, see that it's a sport that isn't just like, some silly little thing. It's something that people dedicate hours and hours and have so much like attention to. That I think that really resonates with a lot of people. And then they want to, like, at least, even if they don't want to buy a cube, hopefully, if a competition like this happens again, they'll check it out. And the biggest thing for me is I just hope this happens again. I'm really concerned that this competition is just going to be kind of like a product of the circumstance of Worlds 25, where we needed to crown a national title, and it was just way easier to host this kind of like, we've had the proof of concept from All-Stars 24, and it was easier to kind of just do this small scale thing than it is to obviously host like another real major. So I just hope that the WCA as a whole, Cubing USA, receives the competition as like a overwhelming success, and then they kind of push this forward as like maybe not, we said not the main thing, but another viable avenue that we can have hopefully a few times a year. That would be really
Hmm.
cool.
I agree completely. I hope that we do more stuff like this, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Well, okay. Talking about overwhelming successes, I think it's time to talk about kind of our experiences at this competition, and I guess my what we're seeing here, my overwhelming throw. I guess my experience at All Stars, just talking about my results. We see here Cube drop 8-1. Yeah, I mean, round one, I started 545 average. That's PR3. I was pretty happy with that. And then, semis, I was feeling pretty good in the green room. Actually, we knew Matty got Nar in the green room.
We did,
Like we
yes.
we just figured it out, and then he comes running into the green room with like a big smile on his face, grabbing his bag, and I'm like, I know this guy just did something crazy. I was like, boy, if you don't wipe that smile off your face, like I know you're cheesing over there, like, oh my goodness. So, I mean, I felt good going into semis, and then my experience, I started off with like U perm cross on solve one, cube drop solve two, and by that point I count the 7-5, and like I know it's salvageable, but like man, it just kept going, dude. I got like 6-3, I plus two a 6-5, and then at that point it's like I have one solve left, and it's just like a formality, It's like I knew it was
Hmm.
done. Um, yeah, so that was not the greatest for me. I mean, I've talked about it a lot. I have a history of missing major finals, is what it is. I was glad I got to watch. It was an enjoyable final experience nonetheless. But yeah, here's the plus two. Oh my god. And then yeah, it's just so tough, dude.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, what was your experience results wise at the competition?
Yeah. So I got ninth in round one, which was not very good. My 3x3 was feeling particularly hollow. And I like my cubes to feel a little bit more full. It just feels like I can control it a little better that way. Yeah, but my cube felt a little bit more on the Yihang cube side than the Timon cube side, and that's not really the side I like to lean toward. Um, Luckily for me, I did have two new um, Greiser setup V11s that were delivered to me via the cubicle, um, and those worked really well for me in practice. Those worked really well for me when I was warming up. They didn't give me exactly the results I was looking for in finals or semifinals. Um, Semifinals was a little bit of a roller coaster. I pop out with 3 6s, and then I get a 5.6 on solve number four. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm really, really close, but I really don't think that I've made it. And then I believe I plus two on my last solve. Yeah, I either plus two or it just wasn't a good solve to begin with. One of those two. But yeah, I really thought that I had missed finals. So I had a little bit of a mini crash out on stage. And then Aaron Wong comes up to me and is like, "Hey, you made it." And I was like, "How?" I'm so glad I did, but how did I just make it? And then my finals experience. Um, I mean, I came in sixth. I don't think I deserved sixth. I think I deserved like seventh or eighth. Um, but I mean, I was talking to it about it with Rem Takar actually because we were talking about like coaching stuff, and he told me like he admires how like my positive mindset didn't leave, and how I still remained positive throughout the whole thing, which is true. I waited until I got backstage to start the negative emotions, but yeah, as whenever I'm in front of people, I don't like to let people know that I did super terribly if I can help it. Um, and I was saying like life is highs and lows. That's how it goes. Like that's just how life is. And if my lows are being the sixth fastest cuber in the nation, like how low are my lows really? It's one of those types of things where you just need to like check your reality a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive perspective to have on it. Um, I think, I don't know if you relate to this, but in my experience, the expectations that you set on yourself after being, top of your game for a long time, they change. And, formerly, if you told like 2017 you that you would be the sixth fastest cuber in the nation, and you'd be like a little miffed about it, that he'd probably be like, no way. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, at least for me, I find this too, where I get pretty jaded and my expectations are really high. And yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. Um, I mean, I guess, it never feels good to like underperform at a major, but how have you kind of been handling it? What do you think are like your next steps with cubing and everything going forward regarding this?
Yeah. So we're kind of in the same boat here. We found out recently. I think that the solution for me is I put way too much pressure on myself as life is right now. I need a break, and that break is going to last at least 2 months. I'm probably not going to pick up a 3x3 unless it's to coach somebody until 2026. That's the current plan. I want to expand into other things that are not 3x3. Um, my fiance actually was talking to me about it at All Stars, and she told me that she likes when I do everything that is not 3x3. She still likes me doing 3x3 because I'm good at it and everything, but she gets stressed out, as does her mom, her stepdad, and my dad. Everyone that's like close to me at that competition got completely stressed for every second that I was on that stage. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna expand my horizons a little bit, but for right now, I am focused on growing Cubing GG as a brand. We're filming this on a Tuesday, and we just released the fact that we signed Zhuanyi and Qixin. So products with them are on the way soon. So that's very exciting. We have a bunch of different coaches that are coming on as well. Lots of big announcements in the future of Cubing GG. My dad also reminded me while I'm taking my break from cubing, I need to make sure I maintain decent grades in college, and I guess that's a priority. So yeah,
I guess.
I'm focused on school and growing my business, making sure that those two are in a good place before I can worry about calling myself a pro cuber again.
Yeah, dude, when it comes to like family members or like, people being stressed, you hear it so much. Like Max's dad can't watch him solve. Um, Brad
Brad
can't watch
Garrett,
Luke solve.
yeah.
My parents can't watch me solve. Like I knew after I started with a seven, I had told a few people to watch, and they I just know my mom was like watching like this. She was like, oh, like she was like, like yeah, it's really tough, dude. A lot of people put a lot of pressure. Like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do well, and yeah, it's really hard to watch like someone you care about have to like be under that much stress and everything. So, I mean, I think taking a break is kind of the best way to approach that. And congrats on the GG stuff, dude. That's actually awesome. I mean, those are big names to get and everything. So yeah, I mean, for me, I'm in a similar boat. I think it's a little bit different. Um, Kind of where like cubing has fit into my life for a decent period of time has been like it's something that I waste a lot of time cubing, I think, but I can like tell myself it's productive because I'm good at it. And it
Bars.
yeah, right. Like so it keeps me in a spot where it's like there's things that I should probably be prioritizing that are like, long term better. Um and because I kind of just like cubing so stimulating where like I can kind of something greater every single day. It's a it keeps me stuck in that kind of cycle of just like doing the same thing over and over again, but at least I'm getting better at cubing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I put so much pressure on myself to do well. I've kind of just been like keeping going because I don't have like a moment in my career. I feel like you have your third place at NAC, second place in North America. I feel like that's like an amazing, huge achievement that you can point to and be like, I've got this thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, I don't really have one of those, and so I've been going for the last few years just to get one, and I just keep banging my head against the wall trying to get one, dude. And I think I gotta just hang it up. I think like I'll try to like stay around. I'll obviously still coach, like that's my job and everything, but um yeah, cubing needs to be a much smaller proportion of my life is what I figured out. And yeah, I mean I'd still love to attend comps and everything, but um yeah, I think the pro career is going to go on the back burner for a little bit in term
Wow.
for the coaching slash like maybe just I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll just
Yeah.
like dip out for a bit, but yeah, I filmed a video before Nats that was essentially talking about this, and then I filmed a video immediately after semis talking about this, and that one got that one's not seen the light of day. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I might expand on it more later on my own time, but yeah, it's I don't know, dude. It's a tricky thing. So
It is a tricky
yeah,
thing. Yeah. Navigating it myself has been, pretty tricky. I think I'm still gonna remain pro, quote unquote, until like I'm out of college. So, well, I actually graduate a year early, but I might do one extra year just because why not? So I'm planning on going strong until 2029, but I mean that could be a little ambitious. Like I might need to start having dilly milly retirement thoughts myself, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. A quick little like 2 month break, and then right back into it with not such a heavy emphasis on 3x3.
yeah, and that's also good. Like just divvying up your attention across multiple things can help you kind of like other events are more carefree. If you like, at least for me, all my time spent cubing, and I spent a lot of time cubing, is 3x3 only. And
Hmm.
so it's like when I'm at a comp, that's like the only thing that matters. I'm like stressing about like when's my 3x3 round? Like, am I fed good? Like, am I like what do I got to do to make sure my 3x3 round's gonna go good? And yeah, splitting it across other things definitely makes it a lot easier for me. I think it's gonna be like other things in my life rather than like other events in cubing. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I think I don't even think we're the only people that feel like these types of thoughts. I think both. I think pretty much a lot of top cubers are in a similar boat. At least the ones like near our age. Maybe I'm just projecting on them, but I feel like if you talk to them, I feel like these thoughts are kind of like everywhere to a degree. Everyone's different in their experience, but um, yeah, it's hard being competitive at a thing, dude.
Hmm.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, but like it's kind of a blessing and a curse in a way because we get to do something we love at literally the highest level because we both made world's finals. So like that's crazy that we take this thing that a little kid loved and then we turn into adults who are competing at the highest level. That also comes along with like cubing isn't a sustainable sport for an athlete, not yet, but
No.
um, maybe like me and you, like coaching wise, we can take strides to make it where the next generation is able to make a living with playing with a plastic toy. Um, I'll tell you who's not going anywhere anytime soon is Caleb Chen. Let's talk about him for a sec. He's not on the script, but let's talk about
No.
Caleb Chen for a
Yeah,
second.
dude.
So
No, Kate.
fourth place,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe, 614 average in finals, and that was not a good performance for him. So 614 in finals, fourth place, not a good performance. Like we are seeing the beginnings of Caleb Chen.
Yeah, he has been dubbed by no one in particular the NA's last hope a little bit. Like of the people we know are fast that are young, like he is kind of the only one. And yeah, he was on a rough competing stretch and like that was really tough to see. But it seems like he's bounced back. Like he almost beat Max at Westerns, and then he's still got some of the same kind of flaws in his solves, but then they're just like not. They're just better now. I mean, I think first round he ended up counting a 5-2 on last, like with a
Mm-hmm.
4 to get like BPA, and I was like, that's awesome. It, I the way that like my mom feels watching me is the way I feel watching Caleb. It's like he's my son, him to do so good, and I'm just like, you got it, dude. I know you got it. So like literally, I'm like watching him in finals, and I'm like biting my nails. I'm like tweaking and everything. Um,
Yeah, I saw that from the sidelines.
dude, I know it's so, and like, but when he does so good, it's like I'm so geeked for him, bro. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
of the people we got, I mean, I think another underrated one is Sid Reddy. I mean, he was also an All Star,
Yeah.
made second round. He's also from my region, the South, not California. So, but yeah, I think he's also a name to look out for. But of the people that are young, those are kind of the only ones we've got, and I think Caleb's by far kind of the best bet, especially because he's already future proof with his ZB knowledge and everything. He's just got to clean up some F2L stuff, and then yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't be top 10 in the world, viable, like sub 5 eventually.
Yeah, completely agree. I think he needs to clean up a little bit of his F2L, like you said. ZB can always be better. Like Zhuan Yi can improve ZB. So, that's just a constant Sisyphus type hill that you have to climb up. But the main thing that Caleb needs to focus on, in my like from a coaching perspective, is at All Stars last year he made finals. Um, did not so great the first four solves and ended with a 4. And I had like a gut feeling before he did his fourth solve that it was going to be really good. And I was right. So then if you take that and then round 1 of this competition, same type of thing happens, except it's 2 solves that are good at the end this time. Um, this is like the North American champs effect on me, basically, because Nats 2023, my only good solve was my last solve when I stopped caring and the average was already dead. NAC 2024, I did decent. First 3 solves. Fourth solve was bad, and I heard a loud reaction because of Luke's 451. And there were 2 reactions because he stood up and did something stupid. So I thought that was single solve reaction, and then him realizing he got a good average reaction. So that was when the 545 happened, and I think that was the only reason the 545 happened. I think we are absolutely seeing the same thing here with Caleb Chen. Um, I think that if he can hone in on that, I'm here to solve this cube as fast as possible, and like previous solves don't matter, what's in the future doesn't matter. What matters right now is this one solve that I'm doing. If he can really hone in on that, I think that NAR is his within like a year or 2.
Yeah, I mean that seems like an accurate assessment. It's tricky because we saw him do pretty good at Nats 23. Like he was kind of came out of nowhere, first ever Nats. I think that was within like a year or 2 years of competing or something. He makes finals, does pretty solid, and I was like, who's this kid? And I talk about this a lot, but like the child buff of like I am not conscious as a human being. Like I am not self aware yet. And then I think he's kind of going through some like self awareness now, where now there's like the expectations or like the pressure or whatever. And yeah, you kind of just gotta let all those thoughts go. And that's a really hard thing to do. That's obviously a thing that like even you and me struggle with still, and it's gonna be a thing that's gonna be a continuous journey for him. But I hope nothing more than for him to, really prove himself and like stay in cubing as long as possible because, that's my homie. I just want to see him do good. So yeah. Uh I think that's about everything for All Stars. Did you have any other like thoughts or anything on, just literally anything?
Only thing that comes to mind is that Michael Nielsen still got it.
Oh, yep.
But I mean, we already knew that. So yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to take a look at the North American record, solve 4, NAR clinching solve, and we're going to break down some thoughts on it and kind of analyze kind of what Matty did here. So let's take a look. Cool. So this is solve 4 of Matty's North American record average. What he's going to be doing is he's going to be doing a yellow cross here. Me and Luke both got this scramble, and what's immediately apparent here is that we have this block with yellow, green, red, and this red, green edge is just right here. So obviously what we need to do first in this red edge, so that way when we put in this green edge, we get a block in 2 moves. So Matty executes this from blue top, yellow front for better ergonomics. He does U wide R prime, and now we have our square, and then here D prime U prime at the same time builds our little 2x2 at the back. And now if you see, we have this orange green pair getting set up here. So Matty does F, and then he cancels into this with R2 to go into this standard F12 pair. So U2, R, U, R prime, U prime, R. And now we're left with this interesting last two pairs. There's a multi-slot here that we'll talk about in a second, but what Matty opts for is to just cancel from this R move from this third pair kind of into this R move for this orange blue pair. So R, U prime, R prime, rotate, and now we have a 5 mover. And then here, there's a lot of different ways that we can actually do our last pair. This is what I would typically do, and it's what Matty does, and he does the calm alg here. So R prime, D prime, insert our edge, D, R. And Matty knows full VLS, and he gets a pretty fortunate case here. This is just the standard ZBLS alg. So here you do R, U, R prime, and then it reduces down to sledge, solve. And then from here, Matty does his U perm with U prime, R2, U, R, U, R prime, U prime, R3, U prime, R prime, U, R prime. And that was a 4.6. So, I mean, in terms of TPS, that was 10.5 ETPS. So 49 moves. Pretty solid solution overall. I think cross plus 2 kind of hard carries here. I will show you alternate last 2 pairs that I think is a little bit cleaner because we do get a multi-slot. So off the same cross plus 2 here, typically whenever you have a pair in a slot like this, you want to use another pair if possible to kind of take this out. So in this case, we can solve red blue first. And if we do it from here and we do R, U, R prime, U, R, U, R prime, now we reduce down to this base multi-slot case. We solve red blue, and then we just get free pair for blue orange. And then we have U2, S slice, U2, G perm. It's not the greatest last layer, but I think it's you save 5 moves just on last 2 pairs, not including the VLS that Matty did. So in total, like including the OLL difference, it's probably not too different, but you know, I think in a vacuum for last 2 pairs, that solution is going to be way cleaner than what Matty kind of opted for instead.
So yeah, me and Dylan got this same scramble. I did not do nearly the same thing. So even his third pair I thought was okay. So then from here, what I like to do is incorporate a lot of sledgehammers into, you know, what I do in F2L. So if you do a U here and then you sledge it, it becomes a 3 mover. And you do either get a 3 mover or you do like a ZBLS trick with R prime, D prime. Yep, just like that. And then, yeah, from there, you get a very simple, not that alg, but yeah, that does solve the cube.
Yes.
You get a very simple ZVLL that is like very similar to A perm. So, yeah, maybe use. Moral of my story here is use sledgehammers whenever you can. Do like untimed solves to experiment with them. Yeah, finding that sledge pair is one of my proudest moments in cubing. Just being able to say that, you know, I discovered something that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, that's a totally valid pair solution. I mean, there's also like a lot of other options. Like you could do R, U, R prime, U2 here, and then now you get like, do I know this one?
You cancel into 6 mover from the back.
Yeah, I didn't. I should have known that one. That's on me. But yeah, I do think the biggest thing here for me is just like maybe Matty just saw that orange blue would just be in that slot, and he's just like, I see 3 pairs, send it. Like that's probably fine. But I think if it was Yihang doing it, Yihang does red blue first. That's all I'm gonna say. I think that's about it. I mean, Matty, obviously, really talented solver. This average overall is really good. I'm planning on making a full recon video about this average on my own channel and everything. But yeah, I don't see why Matty couldn't get like 4.5, sub 4.5 anytime soon. So yeah, I would expect this now that mental barrier is gone for him to definitely cook up something even better in the near future. Mm-hmm. So what we're in the green room for 3x3 semis, and we're all kind of doing our own thing. I think I had a hand warmer in my hand, a pre-fire hand warmer. Shout out pre-fire. and I had the
Bro.
big pre-fire hand warmer in my hand, and Brian Johnson was like, "Why is yours so big?" And and then everyone kind of laughed a little bit, and then like the room got quiet again. He's like, "No, look at it." That was a funny moment to me. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
And then
I was solving with my earbuds in, and all I heard was, "Why is it so big?" And I turned around and I was like, "What are we doing right now, bro? This is like the most important round of the competition."
yeah,
Um,
it was funny.
yeah, it was funny.
And then what? Everyone's solving, right? And then collectively, we all just hear a really loud reaction from the audience. And then instantly we're like, well, who's competing right now? It's like, well, Matty's out there. And it's like, well, is that sub 5? And I think you said like, well, there's no way the crowd reacts just for sub 5. And then we were all like, oh shoot, like Matty just got gnar.
Yeah, we heard the crowd roar, and then if you watch the reaction video where Matty almost walks off stage, if you go out that door and then like to the left, that's where the green room is. So it's just far enough away where like we weren't able to hear too much, but you do see Matty screaming "Let's go" here in about like 2 seconds. Yeah, so he goes off stage and starts screaming "Let's go." You can see it in the online video that he posted. And yeah, we hear a crowd go wild, which could be sub 5. I heard Matty screaming "Let's go" because he was screaming it like into the hallway. And I was like, Matty doesn't react like that unless Matty's never reacted like that ever. So I kind of got the feeling that it was North American record. And when I stepped on stage and finished competing, I was so in the zone and so concerned if I was like gonna make finals or everything that when I was looking up at the scoreboard, I didn't even like look at first. Like I was concerned about mine. And then after Aaron said that I made it, I looked up and it was 472, and I was like, that is crazy. Yeah, super insane by Matty right here, especially clutching it with a VLS and a U-perm. Yeah, insane. Long time coming. I hope that we get like Luke versus Matty for NAR in the future. And then I hope Max comes in and gets a 4-1, and then we never get another North American record ever again.
We can't have this happen.
That's
We can't have this happen again.
That's my prediction for the remainder of North American record, as long as WCA's average of 5 format, until we get that new executive officer and he likes the head-to-head format better and is like, this is what we're doing forever. But yeah, that's the future of North American speed cubing, as told by Luke Reiser.
Max, he can't keep getting away with it. He can't. All right, that's about it, boys. Luke, thanks so much for being on. It was really short notice to get you on here, but you I think you filled the shoes of Mr. Rescramble Mills quite well.
Let's go.
So yeah, man. I appreciate you all for watching. We didn't miss a week this week. Shout out to Luke Greiser.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Peace.